want to start off with just give me a little bit of your story and kind of who you are and what you're working on.
Well, first of all, can you hear me very well?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
All right, cool. I'm testing out a new mic. As far as background goes, I've been teaching English in high school for the past 6 years.
Cool.
And about 3 years into that, they introduced Esports for high school. And Colquitt County, that's where I started.
Okay.
That's in Georgia. It's near Moultrie, Valdosta, for people who know the area. 3 years in, they introduced Esports, and a lot of people thought it was a joke. I took over it. We had a ton of kids to show up, and then we started to get national and local coverage, and all of a sudden it wasn't a joke anymore. HBO filmed a documentary about us. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution ran an article about us. I've talked to people in Polygon, and then the local news actually posted articles about us every week. So
That's
we
awesome.
ended up getting more coverage than the football team, which is kind of big in like conservative South Georgia.
Yeah.
And so I spent 3 years building this huge, massive program. And then unfortunately I had to leave because my husband got a new job in the military. So now I'm at a new school with a new esports program that I'm essentially about to build from the ground up again.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. So where's the new school? Are you still in Georgia or are you somewhere else?
I'm still in Georgia. It's Dodge County High School.
Okay, Dodge County High School. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about that last program and kind of what programs you built and what that looked like. And then you can kind of transition to the new program, what you're working on now.
Okay, so I guess the last program I started with no idea what I was doing. I've been playing video games since the 90s. I've been playing League of Legends since it came out. It came out in 2009, and I was a senior in high school then, so I've been playing it since then. I was super excited. So what I did is I had an interest meeting, and we had about 400 kids show up to the interest meeting.
Cool. That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
It was a very big school. And so once they found out that the games we were going to play was League of Legends and Smite and Rocket League, that those numbers kind of tapered off because what they wanted is they want the Call of Duty, they want the Fortnite, and first-person shooters just aren't going to happen at the high school level. Now in college, it's a different story.
Sure.
But in high school, it's just not going to happen. So we ended up with about 60 kids the first year. And I ended up getting an assistant coach who kind of helped me. And we managed about 10 League of Legends teams and 3 Rocket League teams.
Gosh, 10 League of Legends teams? 20, no, 50 players. Oh my gosh. Just, I can imagine right now managing the junglers versus the tops and who's going to play what and like transitioning the players. That is wild. Oh my God.
Yeah, that first year I learned a lot. Because you can't do it all. It's 2 people.
Yeah.
And
sure.
so what happened is I trained team leaders, and then the team leaders kind of took over as mini coaches for me, and they would manage the teams and kind of really help them, and I would walk around and kind of help where I could. But that first year is a little rough.
Yeah. So what you guys compete in at that time? It wasn't, I don't think Play Versus was exclusive at that point, right? So it was probably High School Esports League or something like that?
We were only allowed to play with Play Versus because they were contracted with GHSA. They have to be sanctioned with GHSA. So we actually started with Play Versus when they started.
Gotcha. And was there a collaboration with multiple schools in the area, or was it kind of just you at that point?
Well, in the beginning, all of the schools got the email, and a lot of them treated it like it was a joke. So that first year, it was us and then one neighboring school. And then after HBO came and that news spread, suddenly everybody in the area wanted to play esports. And I was getting phone calls left and right, helping programs build. And then Play Versus started what they call a super coach program.
Okay.
And that's when you help other schools build programs. So I applied for it, and I told them I was essentially already doing that anyway. So I got it, and now I'm considered a Georgia super coach.
Got it. I've never heard of the super coach thing before. I've heard of Play Versus, but how do you become a super coach?
Okay, so each state has a set number of super coaches. I think for Georgia we have 3, and so we applied to be super coaches, and they went through the applications and picked the 3 that were the best.
Got it.
So
is that a volunteer position where you just kind of?
Yeah, it's volunteer.
Okay, got it. It's really smart actually from their perspective, right? Because it's an ambassador program essentially to help grow all of Play Versus. How's your experience been? Whoa.
All right.
You know what's so funny? I was doing a podcast earlier today, and they were doing the exact same thing where the lights kept turning on. I guess it's a school thing where all.
I have to move every so often. Turn off.
That's funny. So how has the experience been with Play Versus as opposed to a high school esports league or an AVGL or anything?
Well, I've only been with Play Versus, so I
Oh,
can't
really?
really talk about any of the other programs. But I will say I do enjoy being a super coach. We do get a lot of perks. Like my program, we get a huge discount on how much it costs. So this new school was really excited about that because I think it's only going to cost like $500 to play per year when it's normally about $2,000.
Gotcha.
And Play Versus just came out with this new marketing strategy. They will offer discounts, especially for like lower income schools. They're willing to work with those schools, so they don't end up paying $2,000 a year when they can't. So I
Gotcha.
do like that about Play Versus. They are offering all these low income school options.
Good. Cool. You said something a second ago that I want to highlight. You talked about, is there a Georgia esports high school entity or something like that? Like,
Yeah, GHSA, they run all of the sports and we're under them.
okay, gotcha. So they run all sports and they added esports as a separate, essentially, branch. So it's recognized from the state at this point.
You have
And
state competitions.
got it. And does that state entity, have they tried to like run leagues or anything like that, like a Georgia only thing?
Not that I know of.
Okay, cool.
They did switch recently. The person who was over esports, I think, has left, so we have a new person now. So that might be something they're trying to do in the future.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've just seen that in a couple other states. So like Ohio, I know is really, really big, and they have like a state-run organization, and they've chosen to not go with a Play Versus or a high school esports league, and they want to run it all themselves internally. And I just, I think it's just different for every school. Everyone has different resources and capabilities, and they have very different players. Sometimes you have really, really good players, and you can do different things. Where if if you're constantly coaching some of those kids that are just really excited about esports that don't necessarily have the talent at that point, it becomes a different program in nature. So tell me a little bit about this new program, you developing it and starting from the ground up.
Well, there was a coach here. He's now my co-coach, so we're working together. He started it not last year, but the year before, and then they didn't do it this previous year. So when I was interviewed, they specifically asked me about esports because that is on my resume. I am an esports coach, which is pretty cool to talk about in a job interview. And so they were really excited about that, and they hired me for that reason to help coach esports. And also because I'm good with technology, I'm now the new audio and film teacher.
Oh, you're the
So
audio and film teacher. So, that's so
yeah,
interesting. So tell me about are you doing broadcasting classes with the esports stuff in mind, or like what does that look like?
we're about to start trying to do that. There's some equipment that I have to get in, but we are going to start making like hype videos, hype reels, broadcast the games live, especially right now during COVID when a lot of the sports have gone down. Esports is unique in that way that we don't have to necessarily worry about that.
Got it. So, how has tryouts gone for this new semester? I guess it's, we're 2 months into this semester at this point.
We actually start Monday. We had all the kids sign up this week, and then we will start our tryouts Monday.
Okay, what are you playing? Do you know?
We're going to play League of Legends.
Okay, so league for sure, and then any other games you're thinking about adding? Where would you go next?
I know that I don't want to play Smite. If you're going to play a MOBA game, it might as well be League of Legends, because that's one of the top streaming games still going on. It's where most of the money is. But it's League and Rocket League are the two main games.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I just saw recently Smite and Hi-Rez announced a collegiate $10,000 league for the colleges. And I'm curious, do you guys model kind of what you're trying to chase after maybe what those colleges are doing in some way? I get the, hey, we can't do Call of Duty because, the violence that comes with it. But is there any kind of like, hey, we look to colleges to figure out what game might be the next one we kind of enter?
Well, really Play Versus and GHSA kind of dictate what games come down.
Got it. Okay.
I don't really know their process for picking games, but I know that they're picking ones that are the most popular at the collegiate level and at the professional level.
Got it. So I think it's super cool. You're the first person I've ever talked to that has kind of gone from one school, created a program that was super successful, and moved to another school where you're now developing the program. Have the challenges kind of been the same, or is it different challenges per school, or what does that look like?
I mean, the challenges has pretty much been the same. I will say at my old school, um, I had to go before the Board of Education, which controls the money and the budget for the school, and I had to essentially convince them why we should have esports and why you should give me money for esports. And I did. I ended up getting 65 gaming computers out of that conversation. So those got put in, and then we had uniforms and headsets. So that kind of worked. Recently, I just went to this board and explained the same thing, and they were very excited and very supportive. So I don't think that I'm going to run into any opposition when it comes to building the program with the equipment and things like that that I need.
Cool. What about are there a lot of local schools where you can do like LAN events together? Is there some kind of collaboration happening with you and some of the other entities near you?
Yes, as part of my job as a super coach, I am supposed to reach out, and there are a lot of local schools in this area that have not joined yet. So I did reach out to Houston County. They're the largest school system in Middle Georgia, so they're about 30 minutes away from us, and all of their high schools have expressed interest. So I think once they get up and going, we could have LAN parties with them. And then there's some other local schools that we're trying to get involved in that too.
That's awesome. Well, so if you want to just kind of end it with, hey, how can people find you and how can people find your program?
Well, we do have a Twitter account and a YouTube page. I believe it's DCHS Esports.
Okay.
So they can follow our games and our information that way. You can also go to Play Versus and find me. I think my contact information is up there.
Awesome.
And I guess that's really about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for watching this episode of Spincast. So we've been looking at all kinds of different high school programs and college programs and being able to interview awesome people like Ashley who have created these super dope programs. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Okay, edit that, Kyle. I'm talking to the editor now. Kyle, now is when you stop the video. This is when you cut it, okay? Super, super cool. I have yet to meet a coach that has like gone from one school to another school and been able to create one here and then one over here. Like I'm just so excited that there's people out there like yourself that are just so excited about this industry that they understand that it has to happen everywhere. And this play versus super coach thing is super cool too, because there's what I deal with locally inside of Charlotte is that there are all kinds of schools, but none of them with like a hero, right? All of them have like a student hero that plays for 2 years and then they kind of disappear, and then that coach or that that teacher doesn't necessarily run with the program at that point, so it kind of disappears, right? So you end up with this like, hey, high school esports league and play versus have a lot of these programs that kind of have fallen, and they can't pick themselves up because the right person's not there to kind of keep them going. And it's like you've done it in both areas, and your job is to make sure that other people kind of are the champions of it and run with it.
Yep. And I will say, when I left my old program, I made sure that there was somebody to take my place so that wouldn't happen, because I spent way too much time and effort to just let it fall apart. So
Yeah.
It's still going strong.
Yeah. Where's that HBO show? Where is that at?
I don't think they've aired it yet.
Oh, okay.
But
So it's going to be.
they told me they would email me with a link once it goes there.
That's cool. Is it going specifically on HBO and HBO only, or is it going to be on multiple platforms?
I was told it was going to be on Vice News tonight.
Okay. I want to see it. I think that sounds so cool. I don't know if you've seen the most recent one on Netflix, the High Score documentary that's on Netflix. That one was a good watch. And then the League of Legends documentary, which is like everyone does that one. Cool. So just a little bit about like stay plugged in. What are we doing over here? What is our general concept? I think for us, our mission statement is to help schools and colleges first get their voice out there, right? So we want to be a platform for folks like yourself, with the ultimate goal of, I know myself when I was a gamer, I struggled with my parents a lot about what gaming was, especially that was 15 years ago when I was in high school, and I was doing all of these things that were very, I was playing Call of Duty and going to tournaments all the time, and I was winning money online, and my parents were like, what in the world is going on? All you do is play video games, right? So part of our mission statement is to help the kids that don't necessarily have a voice. They can't convince their parents that esports is something that can be positive, and there can be all this curriculum built around programs in order to actually help that person that maybe they get into esports for fun and they compete, and maybe they do some casting and production, some video editing. I mean, those are life skills that they can go and get a career with after this, right? And parents just, it's hard for them to see that at times, right? And programs like yours, I mean, your kids are going to be involved in that program, and you get an opportunity to teach these skills, especially with the production background you have. You're going to end up with them, that their parents can see that stuff. And now this becomes, maybe it's not an esports career specifically, but it can be a career of some point where we're teaching them to have the skills in order to do that next thing, whatever that might be, right?
Mhm.
So that's like what we are trying to do from a state LinkedIn perspective. That's our whole model is, hey, let's talk to parents. Let's make sure that they understand what esports is. And a practical example of what that looks like is the CMS, so the local Charlotte Mecklenburg School District, when they announced classes, they said, hey, we're going to go all online. Everybody's going online. So what we did, we took 30 of our PCs. We kind of created this different space where it was very socially distanced. We had, the clear plastic on the walls, and the markers on the ground where kids know where to walk. And we kind of ran a little mini high school here, and we let them do their online learning, right? So from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m., they were doing their regular online classes like they would if they were in distance education. We had, all the PCs, headsets, webcams, all that stuff. We brought in teachers, so that if any kids were falling behind, that they get like the substitute teacher or whatever teacher was willing to kind of help them with whatever class they were working on. And we didn't want them to fall behind. And then they get some social interaction while they were here, right? So they were able to interact with each other in a socially distant, safe environment. And then at 3 o'clock, we turned it into esports camp, right?
Mhm.
So we turn it into, hey, we taught them about marketing and branding, what it looks like to build your own social media platform whenever they're able to do that. Talked about, not changing your name every 30 seconds because that's what kids want to do.
They always want to change their team name, and I'm like, I'm trying to fill Mark over here. Quit changing his name.
Yeah, so there's that. And then what we found is that parents would come in, and kids love casting. That was like that's like constantly the favorite thing is like my, for whatever reason it is, I would always thought, hey, I want to be a player. That's what I always wanted to be. I never wanted to cast. There's a couple of them that like, hey, they just don't want to be players, but I would say the overwhelming majority, like 85% of them, want to cast. They just cast matches, and that's what they find really, really exciting. And it's like, it's so, I didn't think that would be the thing, but we take those clips, we cut them up, we put them in a video, we send it to mom and dad. Say, mom and dad, look at what your son and daughter did here through our VLSC while they were doing their distance education. And then after school, after we did esports camp, and they just come every day. They're like, I can't wait for esports camp. And it becomes this conversation where we got to kick them off the games when they're trying to do it in between classes and whatnot, because that's what they all want to do. But that's like a very practical example of like, hey, this is our mission statement, and this is how we connect with parents in order to have this conversation. Another one would definitely be our curriculum, right? So each of those classes that we've built, we have 8 different classes right now that exist, and essentially it's broken up into gameplay. So how to become a better Rocket League player, how to play League of Legends at a higher level, how to Rainbow Six Siege, how do you play that at a higher level, and then from there it's how to do the production stuff. Like, so we'll give it off to the kids, and they actually run the production behind the scenes. So my staff will run it for them at first, and then essentially slowly we kind of bring them into that conversation and have them run the production, have them be on the caster's deck to where by the end of that 2-month span, we're standing on the sidelines kind of watching them run it themselves. And just kind of, we've officially trained them to do what they need to do for the college too, right? So they graduate from high school. What do those college programs need? Well, they need video editors. They need production people to post the matches. They need all these different pieces. So we're kind of teaching them to do that. So that's really 2 practical examples of what we're trying to do at Stay Plugged In. It's just support the greater ecosystem of stuff. And for me personally, it's my professional teams, right? I'm creating a pipeline of players that I'm going to be able to reach back out to, be like, yeah, I taught this kid when he was in middle school, and now he stuck with it and he wants to be a pro player. So I have a homegrown story of somebody that I taught, went out, learned more stuff, and then came back, and then I was able to give them that professional opportunity. So that's kind of just the reason we are, I guess, talking today. So it's a really exciting time for all this stuff. So I love it.
It is. And I also forgot to mention this, and I think you'll be interested in it. My
Yeah.
dissertation, I'm in a PhD program, and my dissertation is actually about esports.
Oh, really? Cool. What specifically? Anything?
Specifically, I'm looking at the difference between the male and female experiences of high
Oh,
school esports players and how students learn through games and how we can take this pattern of how they learn through video games and turn it into instruction so kids won't be bored out of their minds at school. Because we
yeah.
can't keep teaching these kids like we taught them 20 years ago because they're a different breed of learners.
Yeah.
Is my point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah. Have you seen so CMS did a thing where they gave Chromebooks to all their kids. And then they gave Microsoft included a not a Microsoft, a Minecraft educator pack or whatever. Have you
I've
seen
seen,
this?
I've seen that.
Yeah. Have you used it before? Does it work? Like I've never seen it practically used.
I have not seen it, and I haven't used it.
Yeah, I think that it's hard to bridge that gap, especially as like a teacher has to learn how to teach Minecraft and use it in that constructive way that Microsoft has kind of developed. And I feel like it's a great tool that nobody really knows how to utilize right now because it's just a little bit it's a lot, you know. Um, but I'm excited. I think your program's going to be super successful, and I think you're going to be super successful. And I'm super stoked to see your documentary whenever it comes
Me too.
out.
I'll be really happy when this dissertation is done.
Oh, yeah, that too. I know my mom did the same thing. She saw how passionate I was about esports, so she did her dissertation on distance learning and esports and the integration between them. And now she runs the distance learning department at Texas Women's University in Dallas, Texas. And it was all because like it was super cool because I got to be a part of it because I was with her. So I saw the struggle of all the things you guys have to write and do for that stuff. So I'm rooting from the sidelines. I hope you do really well with it. But you know, I don't know how we can help right now. If you think of anything where like we can support in some way, you know, we're happy to be able to be involved and have conversations or just be a resource for the local Charlotte school district. Maybe it's like, hey, we want a partnership with, you know, North Carolina, and you're looking for somebody from the inside that's trying to develop a program like that. We can be that resource, or, you know, we can help in a lot of different ways. I think we want to run some national tournaments for high schools at some point, right? Like we have a great little space over here. We can do something like that too. So I think there's different opportunities to work together. Oh, there it is. I think there's different opportunities, but just keep us in mind, and then we want to stay in touch and in whatever way we can. And maybe it's, I mean, we've talked to every college in the nation that has an esports program, and maybe you have like the best League of Legends player you've ever met in your life, and we can facilitate a conversation between us and that player too. I mean, us in that school, in order to be able to bridge the gap. So happy to help in whatever way we can, Ashley. But you're awesome. I'm super stoked we got to chat today.
Appreciate that. I work really hard.
Good. Cool. Well, any questions for me? Anything like that?
Nope.
Awesome. Well, good luck with the program. I'll be watching and rooting from the sidelines. And if you need anything, reach out.
All right. You'll start seeing our matches pretty soon up on the
All right.
YouTube and the
There we
Twitch and whatever else we're using.
Will do. Okay. Thanks, Ashley. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.